Hello, welcome to the first and hopefully not last annual Titan Awards, where we are going to review the previous year, 2020, in the world of comics. It is now 2021, uh, so good news. There's no more virus. We are a one party political party system because everyone now just gets along and agrees on everything. Universal healthcare is there. What else is great about 2021? Oh, murder hornets. It turns out they are actually bee drills. Pokemon are real. So welcome to 2021. Uh, but we have to look back on 2020 in the best possible light. And for a lot of us, at least for me, the best thing about 2020 that kept me getting through 2020 is comics. So I thought that I would like to do a not year review, but an award show. And who better to do an award show on comics than my two favorite comic slingers from Talk Comics to Me, Champ and Heather. What is up?
I wish you had told us that this was going to be the intro because I would have had like confetti or something to like
Yeah,
throw for
I
us.
would have brought in my trophy that I got from Goodwill and like set it right there.
Got some air horns.
Well, you ruined it, so.
You said this wasn't scripted.
It's not scripted. I just made it up.
Yeah, but we could have had some props.
Yeah.
You got a dad mug. That's a prop.
Yeah, but it's also got my tea in it.
Oh yeah. You throw your tea up like confetti. We'll call it good.
I mean, it's not hot anymore. Just
See, yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
all right. Yes, yes. I'm
Okay.
excited.
Hello, we're here.
Yeah, we're here. We've done it.
Okay. Hey, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. As you know, be sure to check out Talk Comics to Me on Instagram, and their podcast, and YouTube.
Yeah,
You do
have
all
these
of that
too.
stuff, right?
Yeah, we do.
Because you're actually shooting another show tonight, right?
Yeah.
With our friend Chris.
Yeah, our best friend Christopher comes over and we watch a science fiction show called Dark. It's German. It's really great. It's about time travel. And
It drives me crazy.
What?
I don't understand time travel.
I don't think you're supposed to. We as humans are not designed to understand the fourth dimension, Heather. It's okay.
Okay, good, because I go home every night and or every Sunday and have to force back these tears because I'm like, did I sound smart? Did I sound like I knew what I was talking about?
you do always sound smart, though.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, look at
I don't
that.
know. I get super stressed out when I have to talk about time travel. I have to like leave the room immediately because I'm like, I can't get into this. I don't get it.
That's why those episodes are only like 20 minutes long because it's like all we can handle of like time travel.
Yeah,
And
I shut down after like 5 minutes and
Do you start talking and say, "I have to leave the room. I'll be back 10 minutes ago."
most times, yeah. Sometimes I just leave without saying anything.
It's a time travel joke.
I feel like it's nicer.
It's okay.
Yeah.
yeah, I just splice that out.
Okay. It's probably good. All right, so we have a number of categories, 10, 15-ish, somewhere in there, that we will go through and just share our thoughts on those things. And so we have a list, and you have a list. I'll probably just go down them in the list in which they were. I added the one that you suggested to add. I added as the third one. So we'll do that
yes,
one.
yeah, that's what I did too.
Look at that. Look at us.
Wrong spot. Okay. Third.
Now Heather's notes are just completely screwed. She'll be back 10 minutes ago. All right. So number one, best ongoing series. So it's not stipulated whether or not this had to like start in 2020, but it's just an ongoing series during 2020. Maybe it did start. Maybe it didn't. But it was ongoing during the year of 2020. So, what do y'all got?
Who do you want to start?
I mean, we have one the same.
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
One?
I
How
always
did you make a
forget to
full
write it down.
list?
I like write the writer down and forget the comics that they do. So.
Okay, so yeah, our one in common. I guess we didn't go over this list when we started. We did this.
We talked about it, but we didn't like compare.
Yeah.
Wait, are the two of you acting as one entity and you have a single list?
No.
No,
Oh.
we have 2 different lists.
We're
Okay.
two separate people, man.
Yeah. We've always played this as 2 separate people.
Okay. I wasn't sure you. Okay, go ahead. What do you got?
So once in future.
Okay,
What?
and that's okay. So you both have that for number one. I have not read Once in Future. I last time I was in the comic shop, I looked for the first trade, which was not there, so I did not walk away with it. But I know that I have heard the two of you talk about it quite a bit on your show, and it has piqued my interest. So it is on my to-do list.
Do you want to borrow my issues?
No,
Mm,
thank you though.
okay.
I like,
love that book and I want you to read it.
and do not worry, I will read it. I like having the trades for those sorts of things.
That makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
So so what about Best in Future? Put it at your number one.
Once in future.
That I said, yeah. Yeah.
We just mixed what we're talking about.
Oh, what did I say?
Best in future.
Best in Future. Once in Future. Best
Um,
once ongoing future series.
I think for me, Once in Future, it's like a perfect wrap up of just like a really great story, really great art and colors, and something that like is kind of it's like deep lore stuff, but it is very easy for people who aren't unfamiliar with the subject to kind of get into as well.
It's a lot of heavy Arthurian stories.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of like mysticism and stuff like. Oop, that's not what I meant to do. You can see Once in Future. Boom! Look at that. So we got. I just did an image search for Once in Future, and there's lots of images of Once in Future. So is it? It takes place in the modern day,
Mm-hmm.
but it's
It
all
follows
Arthurian stuff.
A grandmother who was a monster hunter who kind of recruits her grandson into it, but like not by choice. And then it's all the hilarious hijinks they get into.
Yeah, exactly.
All the hilarious hijinks that comes with high fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the grandson is kind of what is a nice way to put it? Like dumb, kind of.
Yeah, that's real nice. That's a real nice way to put it.
He's like a himbo, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say he's dumb.
He's just very naive.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess naive is not either like the right word either, because
No.
it's just like these things are monsters coming to life, and you know, how are you supposed to ever believe that's like a thing? And that your grandmother has been hunting monsters your whole entire life.
Burying fucking guns and stuff in the woods and making you dig them up. Like, I'd be stoked if my grandmother did that. Like,
That would be super cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I
I'd be
can
like,
guarantee my
where are
grandma
you
doesn't do
walking me?
that.
What are you doing? Where are you taking me? I'd be ready for it.
Okay, yeah, that's like I'm really excited to start that up. I need to place an order for it. I already have 2 other trades on order, so I didn't add that to that list, but I will get there. So for me, for best ongoing series, I'm gonna cheat, and I figure if I'm gonna cheat, I might as well cheat on the first one and get it out of the way. So I have a tie. I couldn't decide between the Immortal Hulk and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Like the regular run?
The ongoing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Immortal Hulk, like, it's such a different take on the Hulk. It's all takes on the Hulk at once, which is itself a different take. I historically like didn't really care about Hulk. I thought he was sort of one note. Like he's big dumb smashy guy. Like, all right, so that's good for some action every once in a while. You get Bruce Banner in there, is a little interesting, and the dynamic is kind of interesting. But for the most part, I always viewed Hulk as big dumb smashy guy. But during like the modern age of comics, kind of starting maybe a little bit before like Peter David, I actually started doing interesting stuff with him, like making him Professor Hulk and Grey Hulk and Joe Fixit and all this stuff. But it also seems a little bit disconnected. Like, oh, you just got to throw in a new personality whenever you want. That's kind of convenient. But Immortal Hulk not only adds like that personality of like, well, the Devil Hulk, but then all the other personalities are still all in there and mixed up. Like he's not just one at a time. He's all of them at all times. Just one is sort of dominant. And I thought it was really interesting. And just the horror-ish angle that it went with the character rather than just being like it's a no. I don't know if if it's a horror book, but it definitely isn't like a superhero book.
Yeah, no, it has a horror aspect to it.
Yeah.
That's the Al Ewing one you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
Right?
yep.
Yeah. I read like one issue of that and it blew my mind. And then it was issue number 25.
Yeah, I read to the 4th trade of Immortal Hulk, and no, it definitely has like a horror element to it. Like, yeah, I wouldn't say it's like straight horror, but I would say that like
it's spooky.
It's like spooky. I mean, horror has so many different like elements too, and
Sure.
so like that's a whole nother.
Even just the art is very like kind of atmospheric. So.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. And then my second one is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I mean, I've been a Ninja Turtle fan since I was Wee Titan. Like that was like my first big like thing I got into pretty hardcore was TMNT. So like I love it, but I think I'm able to distinguish between like I like this thing because I have a connection to it and I like it because it is just legitimately good. I think TMNT, the ongoing TMNT, is just legitimately good. Whether or not like you have enjoyed Turtles in the past or not, it's just really good. It's a really good story. It helps that I have connections to it, obviously, but I in answering this, I had to think back like whenever I get my books for the week, what are the ones I'm like, oh, that gets read first. It's if Immortal Hulk or TMNT is in there, that's always the answer. Like I gotta read it. I gotta read it as soon as I can because that's the one I want to read the most.
That's how I am with Once and Future.
Yeah, same.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. You had follow-ups? Yeah.
I would say you can. I mean, I have this on my list elsewhere as
well. Yeah,
well.
I have it like a couple times because I liked it so much, and I just didn't know like since I have it there, I wasn't gonna there. But
you do what you want to do.
You know, I had a really hard time making this list last night because I made this after I had like organized all my comics and I didn't want to do anything with comics.
Sure.
After I had done that, so most of this I just did like off the top of my head. But I really enjoyed Stillwater. That's also a new one that just started. It's only like 4 issues in.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that so far, and I don't really have much to say about it. So I just liked it.
I'm excited for that one. I read the first issue, and so like when it comes to like indie titles like that, and I don't know if you can call Image indie anymore, but when it comes like to non-Marvel DC books, I usually get a number 1 that looks somewhat interesting, and I'll put it in one of 3 buckets. Like it's either that was dumb, don't care, it was good, I'd like to read more, I'll wait for the trade, or 3, damn, this is good, I'm gonna get every issue. And that fell in the middle bucket. Like this looks really interesting, I'd like to read it, but I don't need all the issues. So I've only read the first issue, and I think it looks great, and I'm excited to get the first trade whenever that drops.
Yeah, the story has evolved in a really cool way. I don't think I was like expecting the series of events to happen as it did.
Yeah,
so.
I think like the takeaway in that first issue, like what you said, like wait for trade is like not the worst takeaway either, because like when I came out of that first issue, I was like, well, this isn't the strongest first issue I've ever read. I'm interested in the story, but like it has done a little bit of a number of like growing itself within the like first few issues, which I think is something like Chip is really good at anyway.
Right. Oh, that's right. That's a Chip joint, isn't it? Okay.
The other book
I know what that means.
I'm just gonna interrupt right now.
Yeah.
Is the other ongoing is Something is Killing the Children. That is another book that is like probably one of my favorite, absolute like on the top of my pile every time, just because it's always really interesting, and I like how that story unfolds quite a bit.
Yeah.
And it's such a slow burn that you don't expect it to like pick up the way it does.
Okay. Yeah, that book. It's insane. So I do like a lot of like auctions and buying and selling and stuff like that. And I'll tell you what, that Something to Killing the Children is like the hottest book out there for people that like, because there's so many like variant covers and like I want the Jenny Friesen one, the retailer incentive one, and the thank you one. Like it is bananas. People really dig that book.
And to be fair, the Jenny Friesen covers are incredible.
They are so good.
She draws really good butts,
Yeah.
like really good butts.
I get real excited when I'm like, oh, change the cover. Let's see what's on it.
Yeah.
And then there's, but I'm like always excited because
Right.
you know how I feel about nudity.
Right.
In my
Yeah.
books.
Yeah. Big fan.
Huge fan.
Yeah, I was late to that book. I didn't know it was a thing until I had heard like all this, getting into like retailing and stuff like that. So I've only read the first trade. The second one is on order. Let me know when it gets there.
I will definitely do that.
We'll put it right in your pull for you.
Yeah.
And you
Oh,
can just
that's
pick it
the
up.
perfect place. You all are so good.
We take care of our people.
Yes, you do. But yeah, I read the first trade and I was like, oh, this is why everybody freaking loves this thing, because it's great. It's great.
I haven't read it at all.
Yeah, it is
so-
one of those books that I am surprised that you still haven't.
Yeah, and I
read.
don't know. I was waiting for the trades, and then I just like never got around to
I
ordering
mean, we
them.
read
so.
so many books.
Yeah,
You know?
and I think that was part of it because I did cut down my list a lot this year. Like, I say this year, it was last year that I did it to start this year fresh.
Yes.
So
I
I
did-
actually like feel like I can order it now and won't be as overwhelmed.
Yeah, I did the same thing and then added like 10 books just recently.
Yeah, no, I did too.
Yeah, that
Pretty
sounds
much everything in previews I added to my.
that sounds familiar. And that's the hard thing. Like it's for like you can't read everything. There's so much out there, and there's so much good stuff out there, and you can't read it all. And on one hand, I mean, as far as comics go, aside from, like the interruption and service and all of that, it was a really good year for comics. Like really good stuff came out. Like
Oh, yeah.
thankfully, indies especially. Like it was. I don't remember a year that's been so good for non-Marvel DC titles.
Yeah.
Just
That's true.
great stuff.
I don't disagree with that at all, yeah.
But on the other hand, it sucks
Especially-
because you
especially
can't.
the horror books.
Oh yeah, the Vault horror books have all been incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. I need to read more of those. I've been getting a lot of Vault and Aftershock stuff recently. Like
Yeah,
they're
I love Vault.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan
yeah.
of Vault comics.
Well, hopefully they're listening and they know.
That's why I said it quietly because it's not worth saying if they're not listening.
Right.
We wear our Vault gear every single podcast, hoping for the.
Except for this one.
Yeah. Well, you can't see it,
Aw.
but it's on us.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's the Vault. Oh, you're wearing the Vault underwear, so.
It's
Yeah.
a secret. Alt thon, baby.
Alright, we're sorry. Continue.
no,
continue.
no, it's all good. So, any more for ongoing? Any other like honorable mentions or anything like that?
I mean, I had one on there, but I also have it like on another spot, so I'll talk about it
Okay,
later.
cool. All right, so up next is best limited series, and I guess I'll go first on this one. I think there's only one right answer to this, to be honest.
Okay.
Every once in a while, like a comic comes along,
We both made that face.
and I'm like, you reevaluate humanity, and you're like, you know what? We don't deserve this. we don't deserve, us as humans do not deserve something that's this good. And for me, that book was Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm glad it was that one.
Oh, what? What'd you think I was gonna
just got
say?
an answer. I don't know. I had no
Oh.
idea.
Okay.
I'm just glad it was that.
Like that. If there's anyone out there that hasn't read that, first of all, shame on you. Well, shame on you.
Shame, Heather.
Shame me.
Shame. It was just, I don't know. It was just so much fun. It was just nonsense fun, and like, I'm not a real big Superman fan. I really just don't really care for Superman at all. So anything that happens like in his little world, I don't really care about. But it was super funny. It was super sweet and full of a bunch of heart, and really good jokes. I love jokes. I think as much as Heather loves nudity in her comics, I love jokes in my comics. But
Can we talk
yeah,
about my favorite panel from that book.
yes.
You know which
Oh,
one
yeah,
it
I
is.
know which one you're talking about.
The wig. Superman wearing the wig?
Remind me.
Issue number 2.
Well, it's just number 2. I don't remember that. That was issue number 2 ago.
How could you forget it once you see it? It was I saw it one
It's
time.
it's the set of panels where Jimmy Olsen's talking to Superman, and Superman's talking about all the good, like how good he is at all these things, and then he's like, I'm also really good at wearing a wig, and he's wearing like this blonde, like short
Okay,
wig.
okay. That is ringing a bell. Yeah.
It's my favorite panel. I got super excited. Made Champ a bookmark that has a picture of it on there.
Oh.
Because I love it so much. Every time I see it, it just brings me so much joy.
I think the one that I like the most, because it was just so like non sequitur whatever, is when, speaking of, when Lois was vaping and Jimmy's like, "What are you doing, Lois? Vaping is for teens. For teens." It was just
Oh my god.
it was so good. But yeah, that's my pick.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
What about y'all?
Okay, so the one Heather and I have in common.
One common.
So I think both of us wrote multiple things for most things on this list.
Yeah, because I
sure.
had a very hard time deciding between, like, there's a few of
It's
them
tough.
where I have just one book, but a few of them I was just like, how can you choose one good book?
Yeah.
Right.
True.
Yep.
So our one in common here is Alienated, which was Simon Spurrier book. Why am I
Was
like?
it Boom?
Yeah, it was a Boom book. I can't remember who did the art right now.
I could not even remember the writer's name for a minute.
Chris Wildgoose, I believe.
Wild Goose? That can't be right.
It's like something like that. It's wild something.
Bring up your Google.
I'm doing it right now.
Okay.
Bring up your
but yeah,
Google.
A book about an alien baby and
A coming of age story about kids who find a destructive alien who feeds on their emotions.
yeah, it's the art is really great. The story is just like really, really like
Oh my God, it's Wild Goose.
Straight up.
I don't lie when
It was too weird to not make sure.
Right.
I didn't even write any of these names down. I just spouted them out like I know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's just like there's a lot of heart in the story, and it was just one of those books that like made me kind of tear up and also just like I don't know, think about my own life quite a bit.
Mm.
I straight up, like, I don't cry very often reading comics, which is crazy given how often I cry doing other things. But this book made me cry like multiple times.
I had never heard of this.
It's really good. It's like 6 issues,
Yeah.
so it's not like a huge commitment.
Yeah.
And each one focuses with like a different like feeling that these teens are going through,
Okay.
and then addresses it throughout the book. So
Well, I like Simon Spurrier, and obviously I'm a fan of Chris Wildgoose because of his
who
name.
isn't?
So yeah, I'll have to check it out. Has the trade come out?
I think it just recently did.
Yeah, and I think
Okay.
because I've talked about it so much, I might have sold it. Like,
That would make sense.
Oh well, I'm sure it's still orderable.
It better be.
joke's on you.
Thanks, champ. Thanks for selling me on a book and be like, oh, by the way, you can't buy it here.
It's the story of our lives.
Yeah.
I will get real excited talking about this book and like, okay, let's go see if it's on the wall. Okay, we have every single trade except for the one that we
Right.
need. So, cool.
All
I
right.
told you about it at least. Isn't that good enough?
Okay, you talk about your other one, and I'll talk about my other one.
Okay. My other one was Wind, which was that was Tinian, right?
Mhm.
Cute little
Tynan. Tynan.
You know what? Someone on Twitter showed me the correct pronunciation of it, and I blacked it out. So,
I think Tinian. I think it's Tinian.
well, it was a weird. No, it's not.
Really?
Actually.
Yeah.
It's like a weird pronunciation of it because I have a friend who has that last name, and it's Tinian, like spelled that way. But apparently, that's not how you pronounce his last name. I don't know. Regardless, he's the one who wrote Wind. It is just a cute little fantasy story about a boy with magic who exists in a land where magic is bad, and he's being hunted for it.
No, that's it.
It's real gay and
yeah, it's super gay.
yeah, it's just really cute. I really enjoyed it. That's also another one that made me cry. I don't like this. This is scary.
They're sad. sound, or
Is
is
he-
it just him staring at us?
Oh
He's not even moving his mouth.
no, he's
What?
just never mind. He's not doing it. He's just saying
It's like my mom trying to figure out live videos on Facebook.
Tinian.
Tinian. Is that
Tinian.
Tinian? No, whatever.
I don't know. Let's all just pronounce it differently. Like, one of us has to get it right.
Hopefully he never pops in and is like, I don't watch these.
So I was
There's
subscribed, but
fucking
now.
computer screen like that. But that's it. That's all I had for my best limited.
Okay, I haven't read Wind either.
I don't know.
I have
That
at least
one's
heard of
like-
it.
Yeah, that one's one of those where I don't know if I'd be able to like sell it to specific people because it like meant so much to me, and I don't. Well, and just because I want them to appreciate it the same way that I did, but because of the story, I don't know that certain people
Yeah,
would.
I think it has a definite vibe that, like, yeah, I mean, I don't think you would necessarily like it, Patrick. I wouldn't say that it's not something that you wouldn't, like, you would just be like, oh, this is garbage, but I wouldn't say that it would be a book that I would recommend to you to read.
Because
Okay.
it is very like childish almost in the way that it looks. Like it is very like colorful and bright, and like the art is very like bubbly, and I don't know. It made me feel really young. Like every time I picked it up, it was like a
Aw.
kid's book. You know,
Yeah,
like that's just how like the content was not very like kid friendly. There was like murders and shit happening, but the way that it looks
sure.
is very deceiving for how the story is.
Yeah, I mean, it's kid friendly to an extent. Like,
Yeah.
preteen.
It's another coming of age. I love those.
You do.
I can't help it. I love seeing how kids end up.
Okay, so the randoms I have on here, I'm gonna briefly mention because Wonder Woman Dead Earth came out, the first issue came out in the middle of December last year. And that book, like, I always am reminded of it places, and I'm like, oh shit, yeah, sorry.
That's fine.
We're so mad.
I'm over it. It's fine.
This book is really, really rad, and every time, like, I was recently talking to Chris, my boyfriend, about it, and because he was just like, well, what's something you remember about it? And it's like the scene where Wonder Woman like rips the spine out of Superman, like the body of Superman,
Yeah.
and uses it as a weapon. It's just like that is one of the best way to describe that book, and it's just like so good.
Yeah, I know. That's good. I'd forgotten about that. That was one of the best Black Label books that came out.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
Oh,
really
for sure.
good.
And like I've never read any Wonder Woman, nor do I really care about Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
But this was just like one of those things that it was just so cool. I really loved it.
I hate Wonder Woman. I cannot abide.
Yeah, I it's been a long time since I like actually read a Wonder Woman book, but that one, you're right. Like you don't have to care about Wonder Woman at all for that just to be like it's just a good ride.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Well, doesn't who does the art?
Daniel Warren
Yeah,
Johnson.
that's right. That makes sense then. Like why you would enjoy
Oh
that
yeah,
so much
for
too.
sure. And then I have Ludocrats, which is just one of the silliest books. Like Jimmy Olsen was really up there on my list of things I loved
Mm-hmm.
and how silly it was, but then Ludocrats just like pushed that to like another level of just dumb shit. dumb stuff. And then my real last one, I'm sorry. I swear to God, it's King of Nowhere. I just felt like there were a lot of really good limited series this year, and like 4 to 5 issues, 6 issues, like
Mhm.
so many really good ones. And King of Nowhere was one of those books that like really surprised me. I was not expecting to necessarily like it, but it's just like really trippy and kind of like a weird murder mystery type thing.
Yeah, with like animal people,
Yeah.
which I love. Because one of my favorite things in the entire world is animals dressing up in humans' clothing.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. So I knew when I opened that book, I was like, all right, I'm sold.
Right. If you know Heather, you know.
Okay, that's it. That's it. I swear.
So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, good pick. You did a lot more than I did. That's okay.
Just overachievers. As
You are
always.
overachievers. No, that's fine. Like, 'cause that's good because I haven't read a lot of those. Most of those. Some of them I haven't heard of. So that's good information. For
Are you
me.
writing them down?
No, I'm just gonna ask you about them again later.
Okay.
I'll just give you my
I
list.
was gonna say we'll take
Yeah.
a photo of this and email it to you.
Yeah, just scan it and yeah. All right. So next is best OGN, best original graphic novel. So, and this were you counting trades or just straight up original graphic novels?
I mean, you can do whatever you want.
Either or.
Yeah.
Well, no, there's
I mean, I only
there's
have,
rules.
I only have original graphic novels.
Okay, my pick's an original graphic novel. I was just curious.
Yeah, no, that's. I think
Okay.
that's the only thing. Like most of that's why I said to add this, and I accidentally said, like I said, I accidentally said trades, but it is really OGNs.
Well, go ahead.
Me?
Yeah. Or
Okay.
I don't know. I went
You
first
have
last
all
time.
of them,
I say
I got one.
I do have all of them as always. My favorite book that I read this year probably
Jazz.
is Blue and Green. I've been looking forward to this book since like June is when Ram V announced it, and I really love jazz music and I really love horror stuff, and this is like a perfect combination of both of those things. I say it every time I talk about this book, but it is just like an A24 film, but like in comic book form. And just about this young guy whose mother died, and he finds this photo of a jazz musician in her room, and it's basically his search to figure out who this man is.
Okay.
But it's, a lot more than that. But it just it feels very you can feel the music through the art and just the colors, and even the lettering itself, just everything speaks in such a very perfect tone. It's hard to describe.
Is it Jazz Legend?
What? No, it's Blue and Green.
Oh. Okay. What? I thought you said jazz.
It is about jazz.
Oh, it's about jazz. Okay.
Yeah, it is
Gotcha.
very much about jazz.
By the way, if you're looking up, if you want to find information about the Blue and Green comic, don't just Google Blue and Green.
It's blue in green.
Oh, that'd probably get me there closer. There we go. I'm guessing that's more what you're
Yes,
talking
that is-
about.
That is straight up what I'm talking about.
Okay, that makes more sense.
But yeah, this was probably in general just my favorite book of the entire year.
Oh, really?
I absolutely love this book quite a bit, and it was one of those books I was looking forward to it, like I said, and it absolutely did not disappoint, and I would recommend it to basically anyone probably. So
I really like that art.
yeah, no, the art is just gorgeous.
It's,
Like I said, it just evokes a very certain feeling.
is this the same artist that does Department of Truth?
No, it is not.
I was just gonna ask that.
Because it looks exactly like
Yeah.
it.
Very similar.
Yeah.
I already used
don't
this
ask
word
it.
once, and I normally only use certain words once, but it's very atmospheric.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm going to talk about two more trades really quickly. Bog Bodies by, can you say his name for me?
I cannot remember.
Declan
Declan. Okay. It's right on
Chevley.
bug. Bring it up so I can see it big.
Declan Shalvey?
Yes.
Yeah. I was like, you didn't bring it up big enough for me. But yes, Declan Shelby.
But it is about, just, they find bodies in bogs from, the past.
Okay.
That is a thing. They become, they're basically perfectly preserved because of the bogs themselves.
I don't
And
like
so
this.
this story shows you how these bodies may have gotten there.
Dang.
Okay.
I do have that, and I did mean to get around to reading it, but I do remember around that time there's a documentary from National Geographic, I believe, about bog bodies that I watched when I was little, and it messed me up because I was like, and they still have their hair.
Yeah.
The rope is still around their neck.
Yeah.
It messed me up for some reason. So that's why I borrowed it. So I was like, I'm gonna read it. But I took it home, set it down, and then watched the documentary on bog bodies.
It's the same thing. And then the last book, last OGN, has a curse word in it, so it's called Dracula Motherfucker. It is a retelling of Dracula in modern day, kind of 1970s. It is the art is so good.
Yeah,
the art and
it's-
colors really, really sell this book, and just like the way that Dracula is not like an actual physical person and more is just like kind of a ethereal eye thing.
Yeah, it reminded me of those like weird like cult movies from the 70s.
Oh yeah, for
or
sure,
like
like an exploitation
yeah,
film
like
sort of
or
thing.
Yeah.
The Love Witch, which was just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
a few years ago. Like that is what it
Mhm.
reminded me of.
But yeah, it is.
I read that one though. It
Right on.
was really good.
Yeah, it's a really fun book, and the colors are just so good.
It's really fast too because there's not too much dialog
Mhm.
It's
Mm.
a story told literally through pictures, which I just absolutely love those.
Yeah, sometimes those are nice. Because I mean, it helps you focus on the art more. Sometimes when things are real wordy, like at least for me, I get so focused on the reading that I kind of forget to look at the art.
Yeah.
Uh,
I feel that I have a very hard time with books that are very, very wordy. Sometimes I have to like go through it twice.
yeah.
It's frustrating.
Okay, I promise I'm done again.
you're
And
good.
I just have one, so mine was Visions by Julia Gopher. I think I pronounced her name right.
Gopher?
Go no, it's like for or something. For I don't know. It's weird. It's got the umlauts, so it's strange.
Vision, just visions, like sight visions.
Oh yeah, I remember that book.
It's a Fantagraphics book. I don't know if that would help you search for it at all because her last name is I can't remember how to spell it. It's like Gforer.
Because the problem is when you search Visions graphic novel, you get the Vision.
Oh yeah. Look up Visions Fantagraphics. There it is. So I just discovered her maybe like a week before I put in the order for this. She had released 2 other books like previously that I read and absolutely fell in love with, but this one just came out like I don't know, June or July.
Yeah.
But it's just her stories are really strange. I don't really know how to explain them, but this is basically about like an older lady, I guess, who is taking care of her brother and his sick wife, and it just goes into how it feels to be like alone when you're constantly surrounded by people.
Oh, okay.
It's done in a really, really weird, like kind of circular way though. But I really enjoy her books a whole lot. I was very impressed with that one, and so that's the only one that made it on my OGN.
Right on.
It's the only one I can remember reading and being like, oh, okay, cool, I love this. I just read so much.
Yeah, I get it. It's tough. It's tough not only because like you said before, you can't read it all, but also you read everything you can, and that adds up, and stuff sort of gets lost in the wash. And it doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just there was so much stuff that we read, like the Wonder Woman Dead Earth. Like I completely forgotten about it. Like yeah, I read that and I really really liked it. It was really good, but it's just it gets lost.
Right.
Okay, so I have mine is Plunge.
Okay. Is
Um,
that the DC one?
yeah, that's the Hill House.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Like I love horror. I love horror books. I think the only original graphic novels I read this year were Hill House books. And Plunge was my favorite of them.
That's funny because I had gotten a couple first issues of the other ones and was just kind of like, And because of that, I didn't get Plunge, even though it seemed like one that I would really enjoy. I just didn't really trust myself
Sure.
to make good decisions at that point.
That's fair.
Maybe I'll have to read that because that did sound like one that I would really enjoy.
Yeah, it was really good. It was I mean I liked all the Hill House books, but I don't know. I'm pretty easy on stuff that I read. Like I'll find something that I enjoy about it, even though it might not be actually good. But Plunge, I think I enjoyed the most. And I like horror stuff, and I don't think there's enough horror stuff out there.
Sure.
There's probably plenty if you look hard enough, but
It's hard to find good
yeah.
horror though is the problem because
Right.
it's such a small thing compared to everything else that you have a handful of writers who do everything.
Right.
So
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
it's a little frustrating.
Yeah.
Because I am also a huge fan of horror comics. That's what I was like primarily reading when I started working there. But then it just got to like too much Cullen Bunn. Like, just we need more writers.
Right. So yeah, that's my answer for that. Okay, next, best new title. I guess I'll go first on this one. I'm going with Department of Truth.
That's a good one.
Department of Truth.
That is one I have on my list. So
On your list of 30. It's in there somewhere in the middle. Yeah, it's I don't know, like it on its own is such a good story, but they're like there's never been a better time for that book to come out. Like it is perfectly relevant. And yeah, it's if people aren't familiar with it, it's the idea of the conspiracy theories. If enough people believe them, then they kind of start to become true-ish. So the Department of Truth is out there to sort of like quash those from like getting out of hand. But there's a lot of really fun like reveals and cool little things like, oh yeah, like the I can't remember what the main character's name is, but like Paul.
For some reason, it's the only one I can remember.
Hey, okay. He's like his mind's blown. It's like I literally just watched behind the scene footage of Stanley Kubrick filming the moon landing. Like it's right there. Like it's real, but that didn't happen.
Out of everyone, it was just like, no, Stanley Kubrick is the one who did it, and it just like made sense. No one really questioned
Right?
it.
Yeah. Of course it would be Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah. That makes sense.
They visit the glacial ice wall that surrounds the flat Earth. And then there's still this mystery of like what's the star-faced guy. Like we don't know anything about that yet.
Yeah.
But just the general setup of it, I don't know. In reading a bunch of like superhero stuff, and there's been good indie stuff out there as well. This one for me stood out the most of just because there's so many conspiracy theorists out there with crazy, stupid stuff, and it's just a nice little. This is you idiots.
Yeah, my roommate is one of those conspiracy theorists. I can never tell if it's like a serious thing or if he's just doing it because he thinks it's funny.
Sure.
I can never tell with his joking. It's ridiculous. But I showed him that book and he was obsessed with it. He's like, no, this is really good. So
is this real? This is really happening, isn't it?
Yeah. He's a weirdo.
He knows.
But yeah, that's mine.
Okay, so Heather and I do have a uncommon one here.
I have one, so we only find them.
Yeah, we only find them when they're dead.
When they're dead. I was like, I only wrote down the first 4 words.
It's a really long title, but yeah, no, that book. I don't know, it's just every single issue is so interesting.
Yeah, and I think I put this on, my best new title because it was also one that I just kind of wasn't expecting to like, because of how much I just hate space. So,
Yeah,
I hate
Damn
space.
space.
I don't like stories that take place in space. And I'm not gonna. It's all because of Event Horizon. Like that's where it started for me.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
I don't care about stories in space, but I love this one because the concept of it doesn't focus on space. It's gods. So I think that's really cool.
And the art is just like so phenomenal in this book.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I that's another one where I read the first issue, and after the first issue, I decided to read it in trade. But you are the second person to put it on a best of list that I know of, and I'm starting to think I messed up, and I should have gotten the issues.
I feel like if you did it in trade, it would make sense though, because then you would get it like all at once. Because I like reading the individual issues, but I would prefer to read it all together as a story because there's things that happen in each issue, obviously, that lead to the next one that like sometimes I forget the little details and have to go back. And look. So I feel like you're doing it the right way.
Maybe
if you were to do it.
I still kind of want the individual issues because I hear so much good stuff about it. So next time y'all are in, see if you have issues 2 on up.
I think we actually do.
Yeah, I mean, I think they might be actually missing
I'll be able to cobble something together. Okay.
Yeah, but no, I mean, the only reason I say that is because that is another book that sell a lot.
Oh yeah, no, I do too.
Mm.
I shove that into everyone's hands. I'm like, oh, you like space? You like stories here?
You like the stories?
It is definitely a sci-fi book that's just like you can easily sell to people.
Mm-hmm. And then you had one.
Oh yeah, I just have the thumbnail on here because it was a book that like I really like quite a bit. It's a really good like horror story, and the art is like really good.
What is it called?
Jump scare in the art that like actually
startled me.
freaks me out, and that is like almost impossible to do in a comic book. Like
because it's like it was so subtle.
Mhm.
And you're talking about the background one.
where they come and you're just like it's
Because
just
I didn't notice it right away, and then when I did, I was like, oh my god.
yeah, because it's like it's on 2 pages, but basically, you know, how you keep your eyes focused on one spot, like it was just like another spot where it like caught your attention.
Is this it?
Autumnal, like autumn, A-L.
Oh. What?
That's beautiful,
Yeah,
but that's not it. There it is. That's one.
that is.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's a cute little horror story.
And I think within the first issue, I was like unsure, but by like the 3rd issue, I was definitely sold on
Mm-hmm.
what it was doing. It just like it's kind of just a classic horror, I think.
Okay. That's one that I've heard of but haven't read, so I might have to check that out.
Yeah, we like that first issue sold out right away.
Oh, did it?
So yeah, that's why a lot of people didn't get it at the shop, was because no one knew it was gonna be like as I guess big
Yeah.
as it was. So we didn't get like many extra copies, and they all sold out that same day.
Yeah.
That's kind of my problem with these things. Like I'm trying to get better at it, but I don't like having to search through previews. I like going to the shop and seeing something and being like, "Yo, yes, I want that." But then I miss out on stuff like this,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
And this was like a total accident for
Yeah,
Chance.
yeah. Heather, we ran into a full box thing, and Heather accidentally ordered it and put it on my profile. So
oh, and then it ended up being great.
yeah.
Hey.
Happy accident.
Happy accidents.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll have to check that out as well. I am getting better at going through previews though. I'm trying to be better at that so I don't miss stuff like this.
I love going through previews. It's
Yeah.
very relaxing for me. For some reason, shopping just stresses me out, but for some reason, like previews is fine.
Yeah.
Even though I'm like constantly just all right, add.
I've gotten better about just ordering those first issues.
I did it this time. I was like talking myself up. I was like, yeah, I only did first issues for like 15 series.
So basically,
We'll all
yeah.
add in the
Yeah.
end.
You
Right.
know I will.
yeah. Okay. Did you have others?
No, I
Champ?
promise that's it. That's it.
Okay.
For the rest of these, I only have like one.
It's okay.
Mainly.
I'm not upset.
I just like you gotta keep in mind we read like what 12 to 15 comics every single week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like
And then also like all of the back issues and stuff. I'm still working on that damn Teen Titans series.
and all the trades, like everything,
Right.
and there's just like so much stuff where I'm like, oh yeah, I can't do this without mentioning this.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just rude.
I understand. I understand. All right. So next is most hyped series that lived up to the hype.
Dang, we got it right.
Yeah, so
I said right. We did the same
yeah, we
answer.
did the same answer.
Oh, you did? Oh, what? Okay. What'd y'all have?
Do you want to say it or do you want me to say it?
You can say it. You love it.
Okay. It's X of Swords.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I guess it's not technically a series and it's more of an event, but it is one of the things, like, I don't know, you know how Marvel hypes things up?
Yeah.
It's like mad, and you're just like, dude, I don't think this is gonna be as cool as it is gonna, it's like supposed to be. Sorry, those were too many words all
But
at
like
once.
the X-Men with swords, like
Yeah, so
Alright.
they hyped it up so hard, and then it just like really, I think, did such a great job of like coming through in the event itself.
Right on. I'm
I
glad to
love
hear that. I
Yeah.
I don't read the only X-Men book I read is Wolverine, so and I wasn't about to like pick up all those
Oh yeah, no,
you know
that makes
individual issues. That's
It's
kind of
pretty
weird
cool.
though. Like I figured that it was going to be bad. Maybe there's like this inverse relationship where like Marvel comes out with like, here's this really cool sounding idea and it sounds awesome and you're excited and it sucks, and then what they really all had to do is a totally stupid sounding idea like X-Men. Let's give them swords. That sounds dumb, but apparently it's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. Seeing Wolverine with a sword was just like, it did something. So I was like, all right, let's do it. I really enjoyed it. I was kind of surprised by how much I enjoyed it, but I think it was just the team that was working on it. But that being said, there were some things that I did not like about it, and I do have complaints about it. So it wasn't like a perfect event.
Yeah, it definitely did have its slips. But I think, that is like the thing that, like, whenever I talk about this event the most, it's just like it was there's 5-6 different writers on all of these books. It just felt very cohesive, and then like for each issue having a different artist almost on every single one, even though multiple artists were reused throughout the Excess Swords events, it was also just like also really cohesive and really fit the tones of each of the books.
That's hard to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the reason I enjoyed it so much, was just how fluid it was.
Same.
Right on. I'm glad that you enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It was not for me, but I'm glad that you all enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Did you just have the one between the two? You just had the same one. Mine was Last Ronin. I mean,
okay. I was like, wait, what is that? Because I keep thinking of Ronin Island, and I was like, wait a minute. Okay, this makes sense for you. I get this.
Yes, yeah. For me in particular, it makes sense. So, big TMNT nerd. It was super hyped. There were like a million variant covers, which is what they do when there's a hyped up thing, and it was fantastic. I cried. What can you say? Like when you cry for a comic, especially on a first issue, like there's something there. I loved it. It was interesting to me. It just in the wider comic community that I'm in, people were like, "Oh, don't spoil it. Don't spoil who the Last Ronin is. Have you read it? Do you know who it is?" Because like this isn't the first time we've seen the Last Ronin. Like in the original TMNT series, they had this story where there's one turtle left, the Last Ronin, and it's the same. It's the same turtle.
Okay.
Like,
see, I don't know anything
that only
about.
makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Well, and that's why, like, maybe it was just like a new take on that. So I don't know
Right.
anything about the turtles. I have to Google which color is which when we get variants in, and there's no title. Like, I don't know anything about them. Like, I know they like pizza. They have a rat friend, and there's a woman with a yellow jumpsuit.
well, the rat's their father. So.
Yeah, like, there's not a rat friend.
I just know that there's a rat that hangs out with them. Like, I assumed it was a friend, someone who, like, a mentor maybe. I don't know. See, I don't know anything about the turtles. So I read the last page.
I'll give you a pass on this one.
So that I could know who the Last Ronin was. So I didn't know that was a thing that was previously, but good for him.
Yeah.
Twice. Cool.
Right? Yeah, he survived in both timelines.
He deserves that, I think.
He really does. Yeah.
I don't know anything about him, but I feel like he deserves that. So.
But I was happy, and we've only had one issue, so like who knows like how it's actually gonna be in the long run. But for that one first issue, yes, it absolutely lived up to the hype for me.
I just thought of like in the next issue if he just pulls his colored bandana off, revealing another color.
Another color, gotcha.
You thought it was me again? Just kidding.
Then I'll have to edit this video and change my thought on it. Okay, so most hyped series that didn't live up to the hype. All right, so I'll start on this one, and this one's kind of hard for me. I'm gonna give it to Crossover because there was a ton of hype on Crossover. I really like it. Like, I really like Crossover. I know that you two do not care for it.
I loved the first issue. Like, there was a lot of things in the first issue I really enjoyed, but it was the second issue that I was just like, eh.
Yeah.
So the first issue I thought, yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit.
I enjoyed the first and second issue, and it's another like variant covers everywhere, so much hype, heavy orders from everyone, and then it just sales wise it fell flat. So in the overall scheme of things, it did not live up to the hype, but for me it did. I really liked it. I like the meta angle of comic characters being brought into the real world, and it's kind of cool that it's in the only place where that book would work is at Image, because like Marvel and DC wouldn't do it, and then Image is the only one that has like a big enough roster of characters sort of under its umbrella that you could bring in actual superheroes into it. So I think it's in the right place. It fits, and I enjoy it. Again, I'm one of those kinds like I read something and I'll try to find the best in it, and I'll latch onto that and think, oh yeah, it's great. But apparently I'm wrong. People don't agree with me, but
I mean, I understand that. Like, I try really hard. I mean, I would say when Heather and I first started doing this, I would try that way more than I do now. And this particular book just doesn't hit for me, and I can't find, like, I do really love meta like ideas quite a bit. Like, that is kind of something is my jam.
It's just jam.
Yeah. It is one of those things that is like those like just crossroads of things I enjoy. But like this particular book, it felt really flat, and maybe it was because of all the hype. Maybe it was because I was like hoping I would like a Donny Cates book finally.
You like that Ghost Rider one?
Yeah, I like the Ghost Rider one,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah, it's very difficult.
yeah, and I think for me, there's so many people who were telling me about how much better Donny Cates' like independent work is versus like his Marvel work. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go into this, and I tried so hard to go into it without like taking any baggage into it, and I still I don't know. There's just something about it that was just not for me personally.
yeah, I think my fear of how it was received was it's maybe just a little bit too on the nose of like, you like comics? Well, guess what? Here's a comic about comics coming to life. And like, yeah, it sounds good, but in execution it may not be. I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't know.
I really enjoyed the art for it. That was the one thing that I could take away from it was the art was phenomenal, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, I do agree.
I don't so much like the story. I only invested in it for that first issue because I was like, oh, it's gonna be a love story? Okay.
Yeah.
I was into it. I love love stories. So I was like super excited about it, and then I was like, wait, this is not the kind of love story that I wanted. This is like those girls that write serial killers like letters in prison. Like, it just made me a little uncomfortable.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, the art was absolutely incredible, and I will just say that.
Okay. That's fair.
I did have one other one,
and I agree with her on this one.
Was-
and again, like,
Was that on your list? Was crossover on your list as well?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
okay. Okay. Gotcha.
But I'm always kind of stressed out by this question because I don't really know how much books are hyped outside of the shop. Like, I try not to pay attention to that. So all I know is like how big they, within the shop,
Sure.
how hyped they are there. So the other one that was on my list was Scumbag.
Oh, okay.
Just not really into it, and I feel like that was hyped up quite a bit at the shop, right?
I mean, yes and no. I think too, like Rick Remender hyped it up quite a bit himself.
Okay.
So
I just remember like hearing about it so much, and so I got the first issue, and it just wasn't for me. And I don't really know how to like explain it either. It's just a dickhead.
yeah, it is like a character that is. I think for me, it was just I personally do really like Rick Remender quite a bit, so I was looking forward to a new book of his, and it just kind of came out like his worst character ever.
Yeah.
And then just like taking his worst tweets and like takes, and
I
then
just
just like just made them a person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the idea of a character that like it's a bad person, right? And even if they end up like doing good things or just whatever's happening around them, some people have a hard time reading books about bad people, which I understand because there are so many real life bad people. Why do I want to read about one in my enjoyment time?
Yeah.
And I also think it was like the timing like near the end of the year, so we went through like 2020 just dealing with a bunch of bullshit, and I didn't want to read a book about a piece of shit who was gonna save the world. Like
Right.
it wasn't what I needed. I needed something like better.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think also the thing we talked about before with this book was like kind of the take on addiction and like making that part of like who this person, like this character was personality wise, and then just also making them a horrible person. It kind of just adds to that like stigma of like what like who addicts are and like
Yeah, and it was
how
almost
they
like
act,
trying to take like a humorous approach to it too, because you could tell that like you were supposed to find this guy like scummy, but also like, oh,
like endearing.
yeah, the stuff that he
Yeah.
does is kind of funny, and addiction isn't funny. So I
Right.
don't know like how to explain that to people.
Oh, look, he's doing crack again. Oh,
Yeah. Look,
the
he's
scumbag sure loves his heroin. That's cute.
That's not a funny thing to discuss.
Yeah.
That is someone's life, and I know
Right.
it's a comic book, but it just stressed me out. So I read the first issue and then just had no interest in reading anything else.
That is understandable. And it's hard to do, you know, because you can't write something that everybody's okay with, and when you start hitting on, I mean, I don't know, drugs are a controversial topic, but people have their different sort of relationships and experiences with those difficult topics, and for some people, you know, like, oh, it's funny, he does all these drugs and stuff like that, but for someone who maybe has gone through drug addiction, like, it feels like, well, you're making light of something that's super, super serious and ruins lives.
Mm-hmm.
It's
That's it was not done in a tasteful way.
and I'm like, I read the first issue and I thought it was okay. Like I probably put it in that I'll get trades bucket, you know, because like it didn't offend me because I haven't had that sort of experience that it would affect me like that. But I understand that there are others out there that maybe this just comes off as insensitive.
Right, and it wasn't necessarily even that the writing was bad. It was just like the content is all. Like I didn't care for the idea.
Sure, and I'm sure Remender, like, he has to know that, right? He can't fault someone for being for someone reading it and being upset about it. Like, you are writing about something that is sort of a big issue for some people. That people are gonna not like it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that comes with any, you know, form of artistic.
Sure, right. Okay. Let's see. So, did you have more not bad?
No.
Okay.
That was it.
That was it.
Surprisingly
Yeah.
few that I was like not bummed out about.
Well, that you remember, right? There's probably more out there that were hyped, but they didn't land, so you just forgot about them.
Yeah, no, that's what we were talking about before we recorded too. Because I was just like, I know there are books where I put like things on my list and was like, no. Like,
Yeah, I went because I told you I didn't want to like look through my comics, so I just went through my inventory that I have like everything listed down. But that was where I had the problem because I was like, well, did this come out last year or the year before?
Yeah.
I just couldn't remember, so that's why from here on down my list is like tiny.
It's like 2020 is at the same time it was like the longest year, but also the shortest year. Like, it's long because like all this crap happened, and like, oh, I feel like it's been going on for so long, but at the same time I think of like, it didn't feel like it was that long ago that quarantine started. Like March doesn't.
But it's almost a year ago now.
Yeah, that's weird.
God, that was a weird time.
Yeah,
Super
that was-
weird. All right, so the next one is kind of strange. I didn't words good. I didn't know the best way to like actually say this. So I said best new title that shows the most promise for 2021. So this is a series that started in 2020, but we haven't got a full feel for it yet. Maybe it only has 1 or 2 issues out. But you're most looking forward to how it sort of pans out in 2021. Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had Camp explain that to me because I left it blank. I was like, I don't know. I don't know what's coming out. But I did add, I put a couple things down.
Okay. Well, what you got?
Well, I did Sam and his talking gun. There's only 1 issue out right now, but it continues in like March is what they said. Something wild like that, where one issue came out and I was like, cool, I'm into this. And then it was like,
it's a scout book.
yeah, Scout.
Okay.
I've been really into Scout books this year. I noticed that they're all like really. Some of them are like horror, some of them are weird fantasy, but I've enjoyed them all. But this one I'm very excited about because I'm excited to see what is Talking Gun says.
Yeah.
So what's you said there's only one issue out?
Yeah, it's just the first one right now.
What's the general premise that?
It's how do I explain this? It's about a man who is basically getting revenge on an old teammate for killing their mentor, and his gun talks.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to describe it.
It's like
Okay.
an action, weird,
like crime.
yeah,
Like mob boss.
What does his gun say?
bang.
Okay.
See, that's what
Seems
I-
appropriate.
It
Yeah.
was saying more than that
Yeah.
at some points, but yeah, the beginning is basically it saying bang.
Yeah, it
Okay.
was really funny to me, so I was like, I'm excited to see what happens in the rest of the series. I don't know if it's like a limited or if it's an ongoing either, so
Mm,
I'm excited to see what that is all about.
okay.
So one we have in common is a book that came out last week or 2 weeks ago
2 weeks
now.
ago, yeah.
Called The Picture of Everything Else. It is a vault book.
So good. I'm so excited for that one too.
Yeah, it
very
started
good.
out just like so strong. I really liked the idea, and the art was really solid. I loved it quite a bit. I'm really excited because I just want to see like I don't know, I want to see the painter and all of that business.
Mm-hmm. I
Uh,
was super excited. I didn't even think twice before I added it. I was just like, Dory, great.
oh yeah, I read this. This is one I did read the solicit on in previews. No. I caught this on Comic List like the week that it came out and read the solicit on it there. So it's it's a sequel to The Picture of Dorian Gray, which is one of my favorite books.
It's
So-
so good.
Yeah, if you haven't read that book, and it's not a hard read, it's not a long read either. So like, go read that freaking book. It's so good. So it's like a follow up or sequel or whatever you want to say to A Picture of Dorian Gray. So I automatically signed up for it, and then I read it, and it's like, oh, it's the artist who drew who painted the original like the portrait of Dorian Gray. Like, yeah, because like I it's been a long time since I read it, but I don't think The Picture of Dorian Gray ever actually talks about the artist, right?
Right.
No.
It's
right.
just-
No, we both shook our head.
Yeah.
Same thing. No, they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, what a gap in that story. Like, is it something about Dorian Gray? Is it something about the attic that he kept it in, or is it something about the painter? And this is saying, oh yeah, it's the painter. He's a magic painter guy. Well then, what else is he doing? Yeah. That is on my short list as well. Is like I can't wait for more.
I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
All three of us were like super excited about it for pretty much the same reason.
Right.
I love that.
Well, I mean, Oscar Wilde. Like, come on.
Yeah.
The only other book, I'm gonna move this one down. The only other book I would have on here is Homesick Pilots. That first issue came out at the beginning of December, and I'm really stoked to see what happens.
That is my number one on that list. Homesick Pilots. Yeah. Like, I didn't know that's one of those like you had to read about it like ahead of time, because if you just saw it on the shelf and you saw a book called Homesick Pilots, like it and none of the covers even
They don't
show
give you really
any idea what it's about. Like even looking at like, because there's 3 regular covers and there's a couple variant covers. One of them's a blank cover, so that definitely doesn't count. But that gives you no idea of what it is. But I read the solicit and I read Walking Haunted House. Like, sign me up. I am in. So yeah, that was number 1 on my list. That's a good pick. And it was good. It was like legitimately good.
Oh yeah, for sure, it really was.
And it's not just about the Walking Haunted House. It's about like, oh, the Walking Haunted House is on an actual quest. Like,
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, and I think too, it's like about the people within the house and like maybe like who it chooses to like, I guess, do its bidding.
right. Yeah.
But
I'm excited to read it.
I think that's part of the reason I'm excited to see what happens is because I think there's like it has like a serious element to it as well as like it is a walking horror, like a walking haunted house.
Yeah. And I think the from what I've heard other people say about it, one of their connections to it was like it does a really good job of capturing like this punk era or that punk scene sort of thing of like having concerts in abandoned bowling alleys and stuff like that. I was not a cool kid, so I have no concept of that.
That's
I
not cool,
I
Beth.
take
Yeah,
everyone's.
I am not a cool kid
No,
and I did
that's
that
what
stuff,
the
but
super losers did because they could all be in one place and showcase their talent.
Yeah, but I still feel like it's so losery that it's kind of cool. I don't. Yeah, you're like, yeah, it was pretty cool.
I get that. I was very popular, so
Well, congrats.
thank you.
Humble brag.
You know,
did it all.
did it all.
But I had no connection to that bit of it, so I'm like, maybe this is a good representation of it. Maybe it's not. I don't know, so I guess it's good enough for me. But the actual like horror aspects and the general story that the actual characters, yeah, it was great.
You can relate to the walking haunted house.
I relate more to that.
Being followed.
I relate more to a walking haunted house than I relate to being a cool kid.
You are a walking haunted house.
I'm the homesick pilot.
As we just discovered the mystery.
I had one other on there, and I don't think this is a popular choice, but I'm interested for more, and that's Post Americana.
I didn't read that one,
Yeah,
but I had
I'm not
several
gonna read
people ask me about that, and I've been meaning to pick it up.
It feels like it's sort of over the topish. It has it's not quite like over the top as like God Hates Astronauts.
Mm-hmm.
It's nowhere near that, but I get a similar feeling for it where it's just, you know, the apocalypse has happened, like this basically the group of super right-wing conservatives and all their money were able to get into like this hollowed out mountain and still thrive, and they're wanting to come out and take over the world again, but the world outside is like cannibals and just people like just giving into their desires, and that is over the top. Like there's this camp of cannibals, and like there's a scene of them like they're all just on drugs because whatever. There's like they're like wearing like VR masks, and they have like these dudes like dildos up their butts and say, ugh. So it's really over the top. Like, come on, weird. I'm not exaggerating that at all. That is a panel.
Are they keeping the poop in?
Well, they probably take it out when it's time to poop. It's in there. It's in there for sexual reasons.
Oh.
And
I didn't know that's what they used it for.
yeah. You've been using it wrong. It's not just to keep the poop in.
Damn it.
No, but that's good news. You have another use for it now.
Yes.
Yeah. But in the end, it kind of like there's this lady that's hanging out with them and appears to be on their side, and I don't want to give it away, but it was interesting enough that I'm curious to see where it goes.
All right.
Very
So,
good.
Yep, that's my list.
That was it.
Yeah, that was it.
That's
all
it.
we had.
Okay, cool. I love that we had two of the same picks on that. That's great.
Yeah.
So
Truly.
those of you out there watching, those must be really good because all three of us.
Writing this down.
I hope so. I hope they are. Because once you watch this video, it self-destructs, so you better be writing it down.
Like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't anyone else write it down? Could have brought my computer and just like pulled it up.
All right, so next one is this is kind of a Lucy Wild Goose. Was that his name? Wild Goose? Lucy Wild Goose?
Yeah, it's Loose Wild Goose.
Loose Wild Goose. If it's not, he should change his name to Loose
Yeah.
Wild Goose.
I'm gonna name my kids Loose. But spelled Loose.
If you want to eat tonight, we gotta go. We gotta keep going.
Okay, sorry.
So biggest surprise. So thing that got you really excited, like a WTF moment. something like that. What'd you have?
Heather, what do you have?
I just chose a book.
Oh, okay.
Hawkeye Freefall really surprised me at how much I liked it.
Okay.
It was really my only big whoa wow moment this last year, and it's because I just don't really care for Hawkeye. I just like picked it up because I was like, cool, this art is like cool.
Yeah.
And then I read that first issue and was just like in love with it. I just thought it was a really really good dark take on Hawkeye trying to do good by being bad.
Okay. Like,
It was a lot of fun.
I hadn't read that, but that's always good. Like when you have a book that you don't expect a lot out of, and then it ends up being awesome.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it was just one of those where like I didn't read what it was about. I didn't know anything about it. I just saw Hawkeye and was like, eh, whatever. But one of the variant covers for the first issue, which I actually just picked up last week, the art was absolutely incredible on it, and that is what made me want to pick up the book to like look through it. And then I ended up just like sitting there reading it instead of working. So
Nice.
whatever.
Classic.
Yeah. Every day I walk by that wall. But yeah, no, that was it. That was my big 2020 surprise.
Yeah, so I switched mine to a book just because my other ones were not actually anything at all. So the biggest surprise of book that I liked and didn't think I would like was Giga.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Giga.
Robots, young man,
Inhabiting robot shells.
shells, living in shells,
Living large.
having robots that aren't supposed to be around.
Juice.
So I read the first issue of that, and it didn't hook me. I didn't really care for it. I talked to someone, and they said, no, it gets better. Read the second issue, give it a chance. And then I had a series that he felt the same way about. It was Origins. Like he read the first issue of Origins and didn't care for it, so didn't read the second issue. And I was like, yeah, the first issue is kind of dookie, but the second one is when you really kind of get it. So we made the pact, like I'll get your issue 2 if you get my issue 2. So I got issue 2 of Giga and read it, and I still didn't care. So
I felt like issue 2 is like what actually made me care because like
really,
I think it was one of those books like I did not carry the first issue, and then the second issue I think that's why I was so surprised was like I actually really enjoyed it, and I think it was the idea of like the religion and all of that aspect of it more than anything else.
Oh, okay.
And I really liked the main character quite a bit.
yeah.
Yeah, I
makes
read
sense.
that first issue, Patrick, and like felt the same way about it because I just don't really care for robots.
Yeah, and that's
Like,
why I didn't think I would like it
Yeah,
at all.
like if you're not Prince Robot, then
Then what are you doing?
I don't
Yeah.
want to read about any other robots.
Yeah, if you don't have a TV head, then like, why bother?
Don't even get me started on him.
Whoa. Off camera. We'll talk about off camera.
It opens up like 3
Yeah.
doorways that you don't want to enter.
Titan. We'll do this on Titan After Hours. So mine is not a book. It is something that happened in a book, and I'm back to the Department of Truth, and it's the reveal at the end of issue 1 of Department of Truth. And what are we? 3 issues in? 4 issues in?
4.
4. Okay, so I don't feel too bad spoiling it. Well, I kind of do.
Yeah, just don't spoil it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
don't do it, at least until the next trade comes out.
yeah, I suppose that's fair. So Department of Truth kind of talked about like this whole conspiracy theory thing, and there's this department a secret government thing that tries to keep it in check. And at the end of the first issue, it reveals sort of who's in charge of it, and that reveal was my surprise moment of, like, I enjoyed the book all the way through it, the general premise, but then when they did that reveal, like, I'm like, oh shit, it's on. Like, this is super rad. So that was mine.
I just thought of like a moment that I had in 2020 where I reacted the same way and texted you right away, and it's when Beowulf shows up in Once and Future. I like screamed and threw the book and then immediately texted Jan because I was waiting for him the whole time. It's one of my favorite stories. I was like,
Okay, yeah.
yes.
Nice.
I was just very excited. That was it.
No, that's
Those were my big surprises.
So biggest disappointment. I'll go first on this one. Mine is, and I don't remember if it started this year or started last year, but it was a good chunk of this year, and that's Bendis at DC is my biggest disappointment.
I think that did start last year, though.
It did start last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it continued through this year, and I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
I was real excited for it, and you know what? Like at first, like the story that he did Superman with like him revealing his identity. Great idea. I like Superman to me is a super boring character. I said before, I don't really care. It was something that needed to happen to shake him up, and him revealing his identity made him somewhat interesting for a little bit. But I feel that, and you know, Bendis back in the 2000s or whatever with you know New Avengers and all that was great. I think he fit into that time, but his over dialoguing and talking heads and stuff is just I'm not into it anymore. I was excited to care about Superman again, and he made me care about Superman less than what I did before, when it was all done. And Legion, I love Legion. He made me hate Legion, a Legion of Superheroes. Like I love Legion of Superheroes, and now it's like the last book I read because it's like, oh god, okay, all right, I gotta get
It's
through
like
this.
a chore to get through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that.
But once I'm dropping Superman, and I'm gonna drop Legion once the current like arc is done because I can't do it, and that sucks because I've been reading every Legions of Superhero book that's been coming out since a while ago, but now I'm gonna have a gap in my collection because I can't stand it. So I feel
Can't be a completist with this one.
what.
There can't be a completist with this one.
Nope. I just can't do it. And I feel like Bendis now, he's kind of like a George Lucas, right? Like, you got some really good story ideas. Give that idea to somebody else to actually execute it, because I cannot stand reading your actual writing. So, that's my.
That makes sense. I don't think I've ever really like read a Bendis book. Like I feel like I've read issues and stuff, but I just never was really into him as a writer. So
Yeah.
I get that. That makes sense.
I'm trying to think.
See, I can't. I keep
Read
hitting my
Pearl?
wrist cyst, and
Pearl?
it is hurting so bad.
Pearl.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I only read like 6 issues.
Oh yeah. For some reason
And then I
thought you
dropped
finished
it. No.
Well, he did a lot of stuff in the like because he did Alias, right? He did Alias and
Yeah.
Jenna Garner.
No.
no,
Oh.
just for Alias.
I was like, who wrote that?
No, Alias. Jessica.
Jessica Jones.
Jessica Jones.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking.
Wrong Jessica.
Yeah, I just didn't think about
I
it.
read. I read a lot of Ultimate Spider-Man.
Sure.
I think
Oh, yeah,
that's,
Ultimate
like,
Spider. Yeah.
I would say I think that's like the main like Bendis thing I read is like most of Ultimate Spider-Man.
But and that was good. That wasn't like Bendis wasn't being very Bendis on Ultimate Spider-Man. That was a much lighter sort of book, where you know maybe you get a panel with less than 2 word balloons, but most of his other stuff is like I feel like a lot of this stuff, and this is really bad in New Avengers. I felt like it was literally like panels of talking heads where I felt like the word balloons were getting so big that the characters in it were start kind of being drawn like that. But anyway, yep, that's mine.
Okay. Do you want to do your one we don't have in common? Because I can't.
Yeah, I tried writing it in because I thought about it. Donny Cates writing Thor was one of my biggest disappointments, which I know technically
Really?
started like the end of 20. Well, coming onto it after reading Jason Aaron's for like what
Yeah.
8 years, like it was very disappointing for me because again, like I think the only Donny Cates thing that I've read and like actually enjoyed was that first trade of Redneck.
Mm-hmm.
And he does all right on Thor. I'm not saying that he does bad. It's just again, Jason Aaron was my Thor guy.
Yeah.
And he, I don't know, made me fall in love with the world that was there that he kind of built. And then like Donny Cates comes in like 3 issues and is like, let's just tear it all down. So it was kind of like frustrating to, and I'm still reading it, and there are issues that I do enjoy, but I think overall, just like having this new Thor story with Donny Cates on it is just kind of a disappointment for me. So it's a bummer because Thor was like the one comic that I've just
Yeah.
always read.
Yeah. And I think Donny Cates is kind of like that when it comes to him taking over established properties like Thor and Venom. It's not, and I tell me if I'm wrong here. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth or anything. But like the stories that he writes, like them on their own, they're not bad stories. But the problem is that he doesn't pay any mind to what happened before. He's like, I'm Donny Cates. This is my Venom story. Deal with it. Or
And
this is
once it happened
this
in
is the
another
Thor
one of
story.
his books.
And then he'll reference it within the book that you're reading. Say, hey, go back and read this other series that I did. This one particular issue where this is.
Yeah, right. He has his idea of the character, and it's like that's the only version of it that exists.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see that.
No, I mean you like didn't put
Yeah,
words in my
yeah,
mouth at all.
that's
You said
pretty good.
exactly what I felt.
Okay.
So.
I guess, and then the other book that we both have here, and Heather reminded me about this, even though I talk about it every
Yeah.
time I read it. Strange Adventures.
Oh, okay.
Just because the team is like incredible and
Yeah.
the book is just like kind of lacking. Like again, it's not bad. It's just like
It's just really tired and played
Yeah.
out. Like it's just like, okay, Tom King, we know you can write these stories, but like, what if you wrote
just a
something different?
story.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
think, I don't know. I think going back, like Mr. Miracle was just one of the best books I've ever read. So I kind of like have that
Sure.
as to like the best Tom King. So now anything else that he writes after that, if it's not anywhere near it, I'm like, oh, this is fucking terrible. Why did you like do this to me, Tom King?
Yeah. Why didn't you just stop? Why
Yeah.
why didn't you just stop at Mr. Miracle?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom King is really good, and I see what you're saying, and I agree with you on that with Strange Adventures. Like Tom King is really good at like, here's this character you know, but what about this? Like
Mhm.
twisting it in some way, like with Vision and then and Mr. Miracle, like they were really good, and that can't they can't all be winners. They can't always work.
Yeah.
And with Strange Adventures, like you said, it's not bad. It's good.
Mhm.
It's just not the level of interesting or quality we've come to expect from a Tom King like limited series like that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's kind of how I feel like about Rorschach too, though, within those like first few issues, and
I
like
did that too.
yeah, and also I mean like in general, like any redoing anything Watchmen is kind of just
Yeah.
my personal opinion, like just don't do it. It's unnecessary. But like with this, it's just like it's like Strange Adventures, Rorschach, Heroes in Crisis. Like it's just okay. It's a murder mystery. There's something going on here. Like
Mhm.
I get
You're
it.
struggling
They're-
between being good and bad and what the difference is between them.
Yeah.
What does this mean for the world? Like, we get it, my dude.
Yeah.
So it's like there's nothing wrong with it. It's just like it's just played out. And just
Sure.
like, okay, I know you have like the ability to write a story.
And do it like really well too. But I feel like the one thing about Strange Adventures is like the reason why I do like it is because of the art.
Yeah, the art is fantastic.
The art is great.
Yeah. It's like the switch off between the two. I think it's a brilliant team. It was just disappointing considering that I only hop on most DC books if I know the writer.
Sure.
And Tom King is one that I've just like, except for Rorschach, because I don't care
Yeah.
about that.
Right.
He hasn't even ate beans once.
He clearly does not understand the character at all.
If this wasn't 12 issues of just Rorschach sitting on a chair eating beans, why the hell am I doing
And he had like a good enough artist that like he could have incorporated a hidden can of beans in every single issue. But
Right,
he
yeah.
didn't.
Yeah,
I
and
think that's the thing too with Tom King books is like every time it's just like some baller artist and you're just like,
This is really good.
yeah, like I'm just gonna look at the pictures if
Yeah.
nothing else.
Right.
Just rip the pages out and put them on my wall.
yeah, that was I didn't think of that. That is a good answer. That was I was excited for that as well and didn't pan out. Like, again, it's not horrible. I still
Yeah.
read it. I'll continue to read it, but I
Which
wanted
is
better.
not what I wanted it to be.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so now we will get to individual categories for people, not just books and things. So writer of the year. I'll let one of you start on that one.
Okay, I'll go, I guess, because we've already screwed up his name too many times today. It's James Tynion.
Tenon.
Tynion.
Yep, the Tiny Onion.
Tiny Onion.
There it is. That's his name.
I don't know. It's one of those things where I love Something Is Killing the Children. I loved Wind. I love Department of Truth. Those are all 3 books he wrote.
I think it was the year of Tinian.
Yeah, it was really like every single book I picked up of his, short of Batman. I'm not a huge fan of his Batman run. I've absolutely really enjoyed.
And I can say, I did enjoy the 5 issues of Batman, the Joker War. I did read that. I thought it was, but mostly again,
I thought it was
the
good.
art. Like, the art was beautiful.
So yeah, I just think overall, like, all of the stories that I've been reading from him are all different in very extreme ways. The voices that are coming out of like his characters, they're all very different. And it's just, I don't know, just overall, like, I'm really impressed with like everything he's done this year, and I think like for me that's why I think he would be a writer of the year.
Right on.
I
Okay.
mean, I have like 3 of his books on this
Yeah,
list.
Right, yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's just like any other award show. Sometimes there's just a sweep, right? Like it's just
Yeah.
something so good. All right, Heather.
I mean, I got Kieran Gillen, who's on my list every single year. I just love him so much. But yeah, everything that I read by him this year was just fantastic. But of course, Once and Future is like my favorite. So there's that.
Is there anything else that he came out with this year?
He did Die, and then Ludacrats.
Oh, he says Die. I just read the first trade of Die.
It's so good.
It's I don't know because there's like 4 of them out. It's been out for a long time, and for someone who is both a comic and D&D nerd, how did it take me so long? I don't know.
It's kind of a strange book to like get into.
Yeah,
like,
it's really dense.
Yeah, if you didn't pick it up on the first issue, it's kind of hard to like convince someone to read it just because of like how dense it is and like how confusing it can be at times.
And there are other, and like short of D&D and like comics, there's like literary aspects to it as well that come into play later on in the story.
Which surprisingly, that one issue I like understood everything of it, and I was like, why can't it be like this for every issue? Like, I know these like right.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
time.
Oh, hello. Wait.
He just froze.
You just froze.
You just froze, my friend.
You froze.
That's like you trying to accuse us of calling you that day when you were calling us.
I have the video evidence that shows that you froze.
Dang, I should have screenshot it.
Gotcha.
I do not have evidence. I remember everything.
Oh, okay. Does I'm not sure how that holds up in court, but
there's got to be some sort of technology that they can get into my brain and they can see that specific memory if I tell them what day and what time it is.
right. They just got to Johnny Mnemonic you. Just get those 80 megabytes of memory in you. Okay, so so you were talking about Gillian. You were talking about Die. Saying it. Okay, so I agree. It's a bit dense. Those like trades, I usually read in one sitting. That one, like halfway through, I had to like, okay, I need to step away for a little bit. Not that it was bad or anything. It's like there's just a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of information to take into because it's like this whole world built.
I would say it's world building along with like character building and stuff.
Yeah.
Just being a huge nerd, but I love Kieran Gillen. And
Okay.
he will always be on my list as my #1 writer of the year.
Forever and always.
Forever and always.
Mine was also Tiny Onion. Yeah, like I agree with you, champ. It's the year of the onion. From Something's Killing Children, Department of Truth, and I don't read a lot of DC stuff, which makes me sad. I mean, I've always been more of a Marvel person, but I do like DC. But there's just not a lot of good DC stuff out there, and for me. But out of the 3 DC books that I get and enjoy, he is the writer of 2 of them. So Batman and Justice League Dark. If he just starts writing Aquaman, then he'll have the full hat trick of my DC books. But the Joker. I love Joker War. I actually like his Batman. I've liked it all this year and before then. I did enjoy Joker War, and Justice League Dark. I love, like, my favorite aspect of the DC universe is the mystic part of the DC universe, and I think he's done a great job there. But I mean, if my new book of the year is Department of Truth, then it's probably not a stretch to say my favorite writer of the year is the writer of Department of Truth. So yeah, so that's mine. They weren't all hits. I mean, he also did come up with Punchline. You
That
can't,
was only one shot though, so we can't fault him on that.
right? I mean, yeah, it's okay. We'll give him the pass
No
on
one
that.
really cared about Punchline anyway, so I don't blame him for just doing like a mediocre like job on that.
Sure, yep, that's fine.
He didn't need to put all of his energy and his time into that specific book.
Right.
So, yeah,
No, I just mean the not Punchline the book, but Punchline the character.
yeah, again, he doesn't need to waste his energy.
Yeah, right.
On
Yeah.
that character.
Yes, agreed. Okay. Interior artist of the year.
We actually had one more each of writer of the year because.
Oh,
we
sorry.
were-
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Oh, I was just gonna do the one.
Oh, you were just. I was just gonna say Matthew Rosenberg. I just feel like he was an honorable mention.
Okay. For.
He did Hawkeye. The free
Oh,
fall,
okay.
And then issues 11 through 22 of Uncanny X-Men.
Which were from like 2 years ago
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
so-
But I absolutely love those issues.
Okay.
But yeah, I just feel like in general, like he's my honorable mention because I really enjoy his writing.
Okay. Right on. All right. So interior artist of the year.
I have Phil Noto because everything he does has just been really, really great.
What are some
He's been on
examples?
like a lot of the X books, so he's on Cable right now. I think he did a few of the X of Swords things. He just did the last X-Men issue. So, but I just like his art is just it's just like really interesting the way it looks and like how it plays into comics is like also really interesting.
Yeah, it's like we had described one time. It's like pictures you would hang up in a baby's room.
Yeah.
They're just very soft and like,
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that.
despite the content, they're like sweet too. Like they make me really happy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, but there could be countless artists for this, but like that
Sure.
that would be like an artist for me. Like I think his art's really great.
Now I got 3 of them. I don't know which one. I just like art.
Well, you have to pick at least one.
Okay, I'm gonna, you know what? My dude. I'm just gonna go with Dan Mora because I always go with him.
Dan Moore.
Mora, Mora. I have never been disappointed with anything he has drawn.
Yeah, that's good. That's some good art.
Made me fall in love with Santa Claus, which I never thought I would say in my entire life.
What did he draw Santa Claus in?
Him and Grant Morrison have a series that they usually do like an issue, like a special every year. They didn't last year, but it's called Klaus.
Oh,
Yeah. You might want to look up Dan Moore with that. I forgot that movie just came out recently. But yeah. Joe Santa is a babe, so I'll
Yeah,
let
he
him in the
is.
fireplace. But yeah, no, Dan Mora, just always Dan Mora. He did Once in Future,
oh, okay.
the art for that,
Gotcha.
and I just, again, like the writing in that issue, the story, and just like everything's good. We love Dan Mora.
Yeah, we do actually both love Dan Mora quite a bit. That was like
Yeah,
another
that's good.
person who I was very like.
I just
Between-
always write him down like artist. Oh, okay, Dan Mora. Like I just
That's
don't
it.
even think about it.
Okay. Did you have others on that? You said you had a.
I had 2 others. I'll just mention them.
Okay.
Otto Schmidt. He did the art for Hawkeye Freefall. That was like one of the first books that I had seen his art in. Great. And then Danny Luckert, who does Red Mother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I've always liked his art. That was the only reason I even got Red Mother was just because
Just
I
for
like.
him.
Yeah.
All right. So mine's so, and I only have him for one book, but I think it's so perfect for that book. I did Joe Bennett for Immortal Hulk.
I mean, that's a good pick.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Just it it fits. It fits the tone of the book so perfectly, and I probably wouldn't pick him if I didn't just love the book so much.
Yeah.
But because the book is so good and um, his art just it I think it walks that perfect line between superhero and horror for this book, that it's just it's perfect for this book.
Does he do the colors on it too?
I don't think he does the colors.
We should have added that as a category.
Yeah, probably should have. That's drop that. Drop the ball on that one.
That's okay. I have one ready if you want one.
Yeah, we can definitely do one. So yeah,
But
yeah. Joe Bennett, just because it's like, because it's such a good, like, come on, like you don't see this sort of thing in superhero comics.
no, it's really good.
So just how it gives that horror aspect. Like that's the Hulk. Like the idea of the Hulk is definitely frightening, but he's usually drawn like kind of soft, you know. This
Oh, veiny and mean.
this is
looking.
just freaking horrifying.
Yeah.
So yep, that's my pick. And so who's your colorist?
Tamara Bond villain.
Bond villain?
Yeah.
It's Bon, BON.
Is it Tamara?
Yeah, TAMARA BON, and then villain.
Yeah,
I believe.
Villain.
I think it's close
But
enough.
I believe it's VILL.
Nancy
yeah.
Bond villain.
Yeah, that's who it
Is
is.
that who it is? Who was it? Tamara?
Yeah, no, Tamara. There we go.
Don't need their Instagram.
They did the colors in again Once in Future.
Yeah, she does a
Oh,
lot
okay.
she does a lot of coloring for like a lot of Dan Mora art.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have a hold on. I'll be right back. Oh, ugh.
Bye.
She's look up Once in Future with her because the color schemes are just out of control.
I also have this. I don't know. I'm tiny, so nobody will be able to see it. But I have the cover of X-Men she did with
Oh yeah.
Dan Mora.
See, look at that
There.
page. Like
You're
the art,
big
the
now.
Colors.
You can show it. You're big now.
Am I big now?
Yeah.
I'm still small on my side. But...
Well, that's okay. Because I'm recording on my side.
So yeah, that's that.
Okay. Yeah. That's
Yeah, her colors are real great.
That was the page that I screamed at.
Mm-hmm.
this
By
big.
the way.
Oh.
Yeah. So thank you for
Gotcha.
pulling that up because that just like brought back all.
Yeah,
those
I
feelings.
did that specifically for you. You're welcome.
Oh, I know you did. That whole issue is just I can't.
Can't even.
You need to read it.
I will get there. Look, next time you're in, order it for me, okay?
Okay.
You seem very, very concerned, and you don't seem to trust me when I say that I'll read it. So go ahead and order it for me.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay.
Well, you work first, so
Yeah.
Champ will do it.
Well, okay. Well, yeah.
Maybe if I
Figure it
remember.
out between it. Don't order me 2 of them.
I got a stone man brain, so who knows?
Okay. So then, or Champ, did you have colorist?
No, that would be who I would choose as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's easy.
Beautiful. That's why I mentioned it. It's because we just
Yeah.
talked about.
Oh,
every time we
gotcha.
get Once in Future, we always talk about the colors in it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
And she did the colors on Ludacrats as
Oh
well.
yeah, that's
so.
right. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's just a Karen thing, I
Mhm.
guess.
All right. So then, cover artist of the year. I'll go first on this one. This may seem kind of basic, but and some people don't really care for her, but I'm going with Peach Momoko.
I love
Yeah,
Peach's
I think
stuff.
Peach's
I think
great.
it's super cute.
It's great. It's so, and I understand like it's like she is doing a lot of work. Like she is pumping stuff out, and it may feel oversaturated. I can understand that, but it's such a breath of fresh air. Like it's something. It's so different. Like a mix of it's like old school manga style. If you look through like old manga from I don't know. Probably 70s or so around there, and look at that general style. It fits into that, but with an updated twist. And there's a lot of it out there. it seems like she has a cover for everything, but it's such a nice divergence from your normal sort of art that we see in comics. That yeah, I love it. I hope it keeps going.
Each one goes really good.
Yeah, don't disagree. We actually have one in common.
Yeah, I wrote down several.
I only have two, so
Okay.
we're good. Go ahead. You say it.
The ours in common.
Yeah, we're common.
Tula Lotte, and I'm pretty sure it's for two different reasons. Because she does the naughty covers for Faithless, and that's why I was really into it. Because I was like, cool, fucking on a cover, into it.
I just love every cover she does.
Yeah,
So, like
it's
she does a lot of
fantastic.
really, really good dark covers. Like just kind of like have a spooky element to them.
Let's see. Oh yeah, that's cool. Like it has almost, it's not watercolor, but it has a watercolor vibe to it.
Yeah. And they just don't. Yeah, it's just like I don't know. Every time they're all her color covers are just really solid looking.
Yeah, those are great.
The one I have different from Heather on here is Daniel Warren Johnson, just because I love everything he does, but he has had some really good covers this year too. I feel like I can't remember any of them off the top of my head, but
I can't either. I know there was one recently though. Seven to Eternity.
yeah. Oh yeah. Wait,
Was that it?
Headlopper.
Headlopper. That's what
Yeah.
it was. I know it was something weird like that, but yeah.
That?
No, it's the top left one.
The very first one.
The very first one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just
Oh,
I
cool.
really like his art quite a bit, and he did all of the Wonder Woman Dead Earth art and all of most of the covers.
Oh,
he made covers for
right,
that
right.
as well. So yeah, I just like I don't know, I just really love the way his stuff looks. And I don't know, Trad Moore has been doing a lot of covers lately too. That's been so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay,
Cool.
so I have two more, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
But just for very specific books.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Mike Huddleston, who did the covers for Decorum. I love those. Plus, he did when House and Powers was doing their thing. He did
Mm.
variants for those too, and that's like kind of where I discovered him, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah, he just love the art. It's beautiful. And then the other one is Sachin Tang, who it's are you gonna look this up?
Should I not?
No, yeah, you should. I want you to.
Okay.
It's SACHINTENG,
O-I-N.
and they do all the covers for the Dragon Age series that comes out, and I am a huge Dragon Age fan, so
I was when you were like, "Are you gonna look this up?" I was worried. Like, it's gonna be a bunch of your booby covers, and like,
No,
That's what I thought too. I was
No.
like,
like, oh, do I need to not look it up?
the booby covers were Tula Lotte. That's
Oh,
why I
okay.
mentioned her. Yeah, they were just for specific books, but yeah, Sachin Tang is one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, these are
all
pretty.
those Dragon, I would say all those Dragon
Yeah.
Age covers are really good.
I
Ugh.
like that he's just become like a
Ugh.
staple for the Dragon Age books because I love it so much. I wish that he would do like the interior art.
That's
Oh,
sick.
whoa.
Oh my god.
I want that.
Yeah, I was saying I want that so bad. Holy hell.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite artists. I just love everything that he does. So yeah, that was it.
Cool. All right. All right. Next category.
All right, let's do this.
Oh, I was like, wait, I don't have another thing written down.
Oh,
I
you
didn't
better
write
have
it
another
down
thing written
because
down.
I realized I didn't write it down because yeah, I don't know anybody else.
Look, I remember everything.
This may be a loaded category. Sexiest comic presser of the year.
Gonna have to go with you, I guess.
Yes.
Because I
Yes.
Again, I asked at the top of the show, what are other comic pressers that we might know? There really aren't. any.
I wish I could help you, but
technically we press comics between books sometimes.
Oh, it's true.
I don't think that's in the spirit of the category.
No, you win, Patrick.
Yeah,
Oh,
hands down.
I can't. This is such a surprise. I can't thank you enough from the bottom of my heart.
I'm gonna reward you with a Sex God T-shirt soon. Remember, I am making that for you.
Nice. Nice.
I'm yeah, very excited about it. Designing it at the moment, so.
I'm excited to see it, and more importantly, wear it and let everyone around know that I'm a sex god. I'm also gonna have to go with myself for Sexist Comic Presser of the Year,
That was a
because
tough category for you.
it really was, and I was debating whether or not I should do that. It seems a little too inside, but goddamn, it's true. So, what are you gonna do? All right, the next we have sexiest comic seller of the year. What do you have?
I'm gonna say, are you talking about people who just sell comics in
People who sell
general?
comics, yeah.
That's Heather.
Oh.
I was gonna say me too. I'm joking. I think Heather and Champ as a team is
As one.
the sexiest. Yeah.
That's a good answer. That's probably the team. That's probably my runner up, is the Heather and Champ team. For my number one though, I have been selling a lot of comics this year, so I'm gonna go with me again.
I knew that you put that question there because the answer was inevitably going to be you as
Yeah.
well. Because I was like, wait, he does work online too.
You can't have
So-
your answer be you twice.
It's my show. I can do whatever I damn well please.
That's
True.
Gotcha there. Last category. Worst virus of the year. What are you giving it to? You.
Me. Gotta say, I got real bad this year.
Interesting.
Made everyone sick to their stomach.
Interesting. That is not what I expected. Yeah. It was a weird year for a number of reasons. But thank goodness for comics. Thank goodness for comic friends. I'm glad that not only have we been able to do this a couple times, and I'm hoping we can do it more in the future and more frequently. But once a Legend opened their doors again, and I was able to actually come in and have a little more interaction with the both of you, other than just through the speaker, was great. Definitely that, and just comics as a whole, was a bright spot in my life, and I'm glad that you two were there to be a part of it, because I love you both so much, and I'm so glad that you came onto the show and did
Patrick,
this.
You're the number one winner of the year.
That
You win everything.
I still think James Tinian would beat me out for writer. But everything else, I'll give it to you. I was best new series of the year.
Which wasn't scripted. I swear you said you wrote a script beforehand. That was the only reason I was going to give you the writer of the year. Because it just sounded so natural.
I ruined it. I ruined it all. But yeah, do you have any closing thoughts for comics of 2020?
No, I'm just glad that I was able to read books and had that outlet, because honestly, that's part of the reason I was able to successfully get through the year without completely losing my mind. Because even when we had that break, Heather and I continued doing the podcast, and that this little bit of we don't have a huge fan base by any means, but having this outlet of being able to read comics and talk about it, and having friends like you, and even short conversations through the drive-through just really made this year so much easier than it really could have been.
I don't know, gave a sense of normalcy.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'm glad that I had it too, because I missed a lot of work this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that I even with hours cut and everything, still somehow managed to have money to afford all of my comics, which seems to just it confuses me, because I'm some weeks I don't have money to buy myself food, and I'm but how did I afford my comics?
Because your priorities are right.
Right. I got bread at home, whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, and then most importantly, I don't know, for us and viewers and people who are watching this, enjoy the things that you can. I think that's the main thing of taking out of this year. It's just enjoy the little things, because for so many, we're always constantly moving, and I think this year really made everybody stop. And the thing is, I feel a lot of people can't handle that, because they can't find that little bit of joy. And I think for me, comics are that little joy, my friends are that little joy, and just being able to find those little joys in the sea of just awful right now is incredibly important.
Yeah,
Yes.
it'll be interesting going forward, like because eventually the hope is all this nastiness will be done, but can we, in retrospect, look back and say, well, I mean, yeah, it was awful at the time. There's a lot of things that went wrong and shouldn't have been, and never didn't have to be that bad. But were we able to take something out of it? And that might be part of it. It's like there's some things in the world that we can't control. So let us go ahead and have the ability to focus on those little things that we can somewhat control or give us enough joy to wash away. Well, not totally wash away, but to get by.
Yeah, because nothing's gonna wash away everything by any
Right.
means.
It's like, I don't know, how I always say with comics, like even the ones that I hate the most, like I can't stand, there's always something in there that I enjoy.
Sure.
You just gotta look for it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And comics were that thing of this year in whole, was the thing you had to look for and it was able to bring you joy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that's it. Thank you once again for swinging by. I love being able to chat with you, and it's nice with this we can do it for a more extended period of time, other than just like the 10,
Yeah.
15 minutes that I'm able to stop in the shop. Or when
Or all
you
you do is like insult us when you're there too. So I mean,
what? Why would you say that?
I'm sorry, you didn't want people to know. I'm just
Uh.
kidding. I'm kidding. I said you were the best.
I'm the worst.
Oh my god, no, you're not. I was just joking because I was like making you feel too good. I can't have that.
That's okay. You could just make someone happy. It's all right. Like, oh, wait a second. I made you feel good about something. Let me take that
You're
back.
smiling too much. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me just take it back a minute.
Yeah, you have a persona to upkeep, right?
I'm in all black, dude.
Right. We get it.
I don't really have feelings, so for anyone else to have it just stresses me out.
I understand. So thanks again. Let's do something again soon. Maybe do this again next year, and maybe it will be a better year overall, and it'll just be more like, oh, thank goodness we had comics, because otherwise we'd have killed ourselves. Maybe it'll just be like, hey, here's something else on top of a good year. Let's hope. But thanks, and everyone else out there, and sub up, Talk Comics to Me on all the different platforms that they have: Instagram, YouTube, hook up their podcast, and obviously you're already subscribed to me, because why wouldn't you be? But I think that's it, and yeah, thanks for stopping by.
Bye. Love you.
Bye.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming. This video was brought to you by Titan Comic Pressing. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Titan Comic Pressing LLC.